Good evening and welcome to the July 10th, 2023 Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. This meeting is being recorded, televised, and viewable on Swift Channel 19, ITC Channel 168, or the Brookings County YouTube channel. Now call this meeting to order. Approval of minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Diedrich, second.
Second.
Second by Paulson, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Items to be added to the agenda by commission members or staff.
Just our regular staff report.
Invitation for citizens to schedule a time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Nothing. Disclosure of conflicts of interest, relationships to applicant, or ex parte communication. Seeing none, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion? Motion by Troyan, second by Gatsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now call this meeting to order and would like to welcome those in attendance at tonight's meeting. The Brookings County Planning Commission is a 9-member commission whose function is to recommend approval or disapproval of land use plans, zoning ordinances, subdivision plats, and amendments thereof to the Brookings County Commission. The commission makes its recommendation based upon the adopted comprehensive plan for the fiscal development of the unincorporated areas of Brookings County. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in a positive. After a motion is moved and seconded, it is open for debate. Those supporting the motion shall in turn give their reasons. Those opposing the motion shall then offer their reasons. After everyone has been given a chance to be heard, the commission shall recommend approval or disapproval based on the testimony and information presented. The simple majority vote of a quorum of members of the Planning and Zoning Board in attendance is required to forward a recommendation. (2023) Plat 010, plat of lots 2B and 2C in Block 1 of Country Club Estates in the southeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 of Section 28, Township 109 North, Range 50W of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Diedrich.
Second.
Second by Vanderwall. Bob, would you read the staff report?
Yes, sir. Charles and Nancy's Inc. are vacating Lot 2A and replatting into lots 2B and 2C with a 10-foot access easement to the Brookings Country Club between the two lots, like they were when they originally platted on November 12, 2006. Lot 2B consists of 20,546 square feet, and Lot 2C contains 22,067 square feet. Lot 2A was platted on September 21, 2021, from the combining of the original lots 2 and 3 into one lot 2A. The lots exceed our 20,000 square foot size requirements for the Lake Park District. The plat meets our Brookings County subdivision ordinance and Lake Park requirements. In the report.
Is the applicant here? Nope.
Yep, that's it.
Applicant's not here. With the applicant not here, I'll open the public portion of the hearing. Is there anybody on the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Bob, would you call a vote?
Paulson,
Aye.
Gatsky,
Aye.
Diedrich,
Aye.
Truian,
Aye.
Jensen,
Yes.
Erickson, Vanderwall Kelly,
Aye.
and Vanderwall Kyle is not present, and Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on, we will now convene as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment is a 9-member board which has the power to hear requests for variances, conditional uses, and appeals from the non-ministerial decisions of the zoning officer. the concurring vote of 2/3 of the full board membership of the board. 6 votes is necessary for approval of a variance or an appeal of the zoning officer. The concurring vote of a simple majority of those board members present and voting is necessary for approval of a conditional use permit. In accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, we require a motion to approve a request before the request can be debated. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. The board, under specific powers granted to it by the state, shall authorize variances from the zoning requirements for special conditions existing on the land that will result in unnecessary hardship for the applicant. Financial disadvantage to the property owner shall not constitute proof of an unnecessary hardship. Agenda item 2023 variance 005. Garrett Reed has made an application 2023 variance 005 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance, Article 11, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District, Area Regulation Number 2, Front Yard. The minimum depth of the front yard shall be 100 feet. The corner lot shall have 2 front yards. The property is described as the south 677 feet of the southwest 1/4, and the north 633 feet of the south 1,310 feet of the west 352 feet of the southwest 1/4 of Section 22, Township 112 North, Range 51W, Preston Township, located at 19994 463rd Avenue, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. Is there a motion? Motion by Jensen,
Second.
second by Tryon. Bob, would you read the staff report?
Yes. Garrett Reed has applied for a front yard variance to build a 21-foot by 27-foot house addition 96 feet from the center of 463rd Avenue, a variance of 37 feet. The required front yard setback is 133 feet from the center of the road. 463rd Avenue is a Preston Township gravel road. Some things to consider. The house was built in the 1890s, prior current setback requirements, before the prior setback requirements, and location of the power pole directly east of the house on the south side of the cement. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on June 20 and June 27th, 2023, and the Volga Tribune on June 22 and June 29, 2023. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners and Preston Township Chairman and Clerk. Here is the application submitted by the applicant. There's a photograph showing the existing house, the additions no further than the existing house now. Here's just another side angle of it. Here's photographs looking north, looking south, looking east, and the wheel at the west is the west edge of the proposed addition. The existing power pole. He went to the east side south side of the proposed addition in this photograph, coming out to the driveway, and that's the end of the report.
Thank you. The applicant is here. Would you come forward, have a seat, and make sure the green light's on the mic and clearly state your name into it?
Garrett Reed.
Board at this time. Hang tight for a minute. Seeing none, I'll move to the public hearing portion. Is anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion here. And questions from members of the board? Pretty simple. Seeing none, Bob, would you read the findings of facts? You can go sit back if you want.
Certainly. Variance 2023 VAR 005, an application for a variance having been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission acting as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment, a copy of the application being attached hereto. Such application being made by Garrett Reed regarding the following real property with a legal description of south 677 feet of the southwest quarter and north 633 feet of the south, 1,310 feet of the west, 352 feet of the southwest quarter of Section 22, Township 112 North, Range 51 West, Preston Township, located at 1994 463rd Avenue, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. After due notice, a public hearing having been held on the application on the 10th day of July 2023. Brookings, number one, Brookings County Board of Adjustment hereby finds that the strict application of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would produce undue hardship, and such hardship is not shared generally by other properties in the same zoning district in the same vicinity, that the authorization of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property, and character of the district will not be changed by the granting of the variance, and that the granting of such variance is based upon reasons of demonstrable and exceptional hardship as distinguished from variations for the purpose of convenience, profit, and caprice. Number two, Brookings County Board of Adjustment, further finding that the condition or situation of the property concerned or the intended use of the property is not of such general or recurrent nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation to be adopted as an amendment to the zoning ordinance. Number three, Brookings County Board of Adjustment, further finding that the written application of petitioner demonstrates that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or buildings in the same district, that the literal interpretation of the provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of the rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of the ordinance, that the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, and that granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the ordinance to other land, structures, or buildings in the same district. Number four, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment, further finding that the reasons set forth in the application justify the granting of the variance, and that the variance is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, that the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the Brookings County zoning ordinance, and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Number five, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this variance upon the following special conditions or safeguards. A, house was built in 1890 prior to the current zoning and setback requirements. B, electric power pole is located on the east side of the house, which prevents moving the proposed addition further east. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least 2/3 vote of its full membership hereby, if they agree, will grant the petitioner a variance for the above described real property as follows. They would be allowed to build a 21-foot by 27-foot house addition, 96 feet from the center of 463rd Avenue. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the conditions and safeguards in number 5 above, and compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. The Brookings County zoning ordinance will or will not be authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. If approved, this variance must be used within 3 years of the date granted, or it shall become invalid. Today's date is the 10th day of July, 2023.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as the findings of the facts are followed, so I concur with the findings of facts.
Thank you, Mr. Gatsky. Bob, would you call a vote?
Yes. Gatsky.
Yes.
Diedrich.
Yes.
Truian.
Aye.
Jensen.
Yes.
Vanderwall Kelly, Commissioner.
Yes.
Paulson.
Aye.
And Erickson. And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes. Let me do some, all right, you're gonna have to help me here, Raylan. I gotta get the draft off. How do I do that? Pardon? design, watermark, and that's it. And go is, okay, and that's it. And hit save. I didn't know that either. Richard is smarter than me. Doing a great job. You're moving forward. That's all we can ask for. If you're in the audience, believe it or not, I used to do this quite a bit, but it's been about 10 years. All right, now do I hit print? Just rock and roll. All right, X out of that. Go into the next one. All right, Chairperson, your turn. Ready to go.
Moving on, agenda item 2023 variance 006. Wayne Reiser has made an application 2023 variance 006 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for variance Article 4, District Requirements, Chapter 4.03 LP, Lake Park District, Section 4.03.03, Density, Area, and Yard Regulation. Minimum side yards of property is described as Lot 4 Reeves subdivision in the Southwest 1/4, Section 5, Township 112 North, Range 52W, Laketon Township. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Dietrich.
Second.
Second by Paulson. Bob, would you read the staff report?
Certainly. Okay. Wayne Reiser has applied for a side variance for a 10-foot wide, a 16-foot portable shed to be 4 feet from the side yard property line, a variance of 4 feet. The required side yard setback is 8 feet. The proposed shed would meet the 25-foot front roadside setback and 75 feet from the lakeside highest known watermark. Things to consider would be the shape and size of the lot, location of trees. Reeves subdivision was platted on December 30th, 1970, prior to the zoning ordinance. Lake lots and cabins have existed on Lake Ponset since 1922. The Brookings County Comprehensive Plan, future land use developed Lake's future land use, found on page 58, in paragraph 2 states, it is likely that the established developed areas of Lake Campbell, Lake Hendricks, Lake Tikatonka, and Lake Ponset will experience continued development in varying degrees. While non-lake front growth potential exists for all of the Able Lakes, significant lakefront area is appropriately zoned and subdivided in some cases adjacent to Lake Tikatonka, Lake Hendricks, and Lake Campbell. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on June 20 and 27, 2023, in the Volga Tribune and Arlington Sun on June 22 and June 29, 2023. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, Brookings County Highway Department, and Laketon Township Chairman and Clerk. This is the application that was filed. Sketch. Property in question. Here's where building would be located. This is north looking towards the lake. Here's looking east from the property line. Got a water meter. Looking south, the wheel is at the 4-foot proposed side property line. And looking south, the wheel is at the 8-foot setback flag at the proposed 4-foot side yard setback, and the water meter is pointed out. looking down the driveway from South Lake Drive, which is also Brookings County Blacktop Road number 2. And here you're looking north towards the lake, we're at the 8-foot setback. And that's the end of the report.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Step forward, clear to state your name into the mic. For members of the board at this time?
Chad. One point of clarification, I did apply for a variance from the front lot line too, 16 feet from the front lot line.
Is that in here?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Should be right, yeah, right up there, the top paragraph.
10 foot by 16 foot shed, 4 feet from north and 16 feet from the front line. 85.
Just so you're aware of that.
Well, I suppose we probably need to table it until next month.
Got a pen?
Let's go ahead and do it down there.
I can just do it all the same too. Is that how it was published in the papers this way?
You got the published, please get it published. Yeah, it wasn't published properly, so.
If you're looking for a front yard setback, then we'll probably just, it was published wrong. So we'll have to table this to the next meeting so it can be republished in the paper
Here it is.
and hear it next month. Does that work for you?
Suppose it'll have to.
Alrighty, sorry about that. Is there a motion to table?
Move. Go ahead. Move to table.
Motion by Gatsky. Second by Diedrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Table till next month. We'll get it straightened out so we got paperwork right.
That it?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. What?
We'll hear it next month.
Gotcha. Move on then.
Move on.
Moving on, agenda item 2023, variance 007. Bill Helens Jr. has made an application, 2023, variance 007 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for variance. Article 4, District Requirements, Chapter 4.03, LP, Lake Park District, Section 4.03.03, Density, Area, and Yard Regulation, Minimum Lakefront. The property is described as lots 4 and 5 of DeBoer's Lake Tetonkaha West Subdivision and Government Lots 1, 4, 5, and 6 in Section 7 Township 111 North, Range 51W, Oakwood Township, located at 17 and 18 Oakwood Shoreline Drive, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. Is there a motion? Motion by Vanderwall,
Second.
second by Paulson. Bobby, would you read the staff report?
Yes, sir.
Note that it's Kyle Vanderwall.
All right. Bill Halens Jr. has applied for a variance to move in a new, ready-built 32-foot wide by 56-foot long house with a 16-foot wide by 38-foot long attached garage and a 12-foot wide by 36-foot long attached deck closer to the lake than the current setbacks allow. The support post for the attached deck will be 16 feet from the highest known watermark, HKWM, a variance of 59 feet. The required lakeside setback is 75 feet from the highest known watermark. The residence and attached garage will be 28 feet from the highest known watermark. The proposed new house and deck will be further back from the lake than the existing structures are now. The proposed house and attached garage will meet the road setback of 25 feet from the road and side setback of 8 feet from the property line. The proposed house and deck will be in line with other existing structures on either side of their lot. The property is located in the floodplain, and he will need to complete a floodplain development permit and follow FEMA floodplain standards for building in a floodplain. Things to consider: location of the existing rural water connection, septic system and electrical lines on the west side of the lot. Lake lots and cabins have existed on Lake Tetonconca, Lake Oakwood since the 1930s and 40s, prior to zoning requirements. The Boar Lake Tetonconca West subdivision was originally platted in 1984. It was replatted in June 2003 when the original road was vacated and relocated. The Brookings County Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Develop Lakes Future Land Use found on page 58 in paragraph 2. It is likely that the established developed area of Lake Campbell, Lake Hendricks, Lake Tetonconca, and Lake Ponset will experience continued development in varying degrees, while non-lakefront growth potentially exists for all of the able lakes. Significant lakefront area is appropriately zoned and subdivided, in some cases adjacent to Lake Tetonconca, Lake Hendricks, and Lake Campbell. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on June 20 and 27, 2023, and the Volga Tribune on June 22 and 29, 2023. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners and the Oakwood Township Chairman and Clerk. Here's the application. Here's the drawing that they made, showing the high water mark, electric meter, septic, the road of Oakwood Shoreline Drive. Here's a copy of the plat that was done in 2003, I believe. Here's the location of the existing residence. You can see in the red is why we request that he has a floodplain development permit. Here's photographs. Flag set at the 25 foot from the road setback. Looking to the east. Septic system cover. Electrical boxes, water meters. Here's the wheel at the support deck, 16 feet from the highest one. You can see it's going to be no closer than the existing other houses. And that's the end of the report.
Thank you. The applicant's here. Would you come forward, have a seat, and clearly state your name into the mic?
Bill Halens.
Is there any questions for Bill at this time from members of the board? Hang tight for a minute then. Since there's no questions this time, I'll move to the public portion of the hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Bob, would you read the findings of facts? Should be good, Bill. You can go back and sit.
Okay, I read the complete one for the very first variance. We're gonna do some shortcuts on the rest of them. Such application being made by Bill Halens Jr., lots 4 and 5 of the Boars Lake Tikatonka West subdivision and government's lot 1, 4, 5, and 6 in section 7, township 111 North, range 51 West, Oakwood Township, located at 17 and 18 Oakwood Shoreline Drive, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. Public notice was published and public hearing held on the 10th day of July 2023. Number 1 talks about a hardship that's not shared by everybody else. Number 2, the situation was pointed out, such as electrical lines and sewer emplacement. Number 3 is the peculiar land use and buildings in the same district. Number 4 is you found the reasons set forth in the application justified the variance. And number 5, we further determined that the reason that if we approve the variance, it would be the size and shape of the lots. There is 2 lots there. Existing electric, water, and septic systems, utilities are located on the west side of the lot between the existing house and the road. C, lake lots and cabins have existed on Lake Tikatonka, AKA Lake Oakwood, since the 1930s and 40s prior to zoning requirements. The Boar Lake Tikatonka West subdivision was originally platted in 1984. It was replatted in June 2003 when the original road was vacated and relocated. It will take at least 2/3 vote of a full membership to grant a variance if approved. And what will be approved or disapproved will be build a new residence with a support post for an attached deck 16 feet from the highest known watermark, in parentheses, HKWM, on Lake Tikatonka, West Oakwood. This variance would have to apply with all the stuff listed in number 5. And the variance itself, where we talked about the staff report talking about the FEMA floodplain requirements. Brookings County Zoning Director would be authorized or not authorized to issue required building permits. It must be used within 3 years after it granted, and it will be dated the 10th day of July 2023 and filed on July 11th, 2023, if approved. End of statement, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
The only question I'd have is that since you're moving in a house, right, Bill? It just says build on this report, where on the beginning of the application it says move in. I don't know if that needs to be changed to, yep, go up just a little bit right there. Build a new residence. If anything has to be changed there.
Move in a pre-built. Is that all right? How does that look? Move in a pre-built residence?
Yep, that looks good. Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as it aligns with findings of the facts are followed, so I concur with findings.
Thank you, Mr. Diedrich. Mr. Hill, would you call the vote?
Diedrich.
Aye.
Vanderwall Kyle.
Aye.
Truian.
Aye.
Jensen.
Yes.
Erickson. Vanderwall Kelly, Commissioner.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Gatsky.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
And since you don't like me talking to myself,
You're doing just fine.
Okay, we're ready.
Moving on to agenda item 2023 CU 010. Jeff Christensen has made an application 2023 CU 010 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for conditional use Article 11, Section 11.01A Agricultural District Conditional Use Permit Number 16. One manufactured or mobile home as a secondary residence on an established farmstead to be used for the occupancy of a farm employee or by parents, grandparents, children, or brothers and sisters of the occupant of the land, provided that said mobile home is removed within 90 days of the vacancy therefrom by the qualified occupant or occupants. The property is described as the south half of the Southwest 1/4, Section 29, Township 110 North, Range 52 West, Bangor Township, located at 45530 213th Street, Arlington, South Dakota 57212. Is there a motion? Motion by Kyle Vanderwall.
Second.
Second by Troyan. Bob, would you read the staff report?
Yes, sir. Jeff Christensen has applied for a conditional use permit to move in a used mobile home / manufactured home as a secondary residence for his daughter to live in on his existing farmstead. The used mobile / manufactured home is currently located 1/2 mile to the west where his son lives, who is building a new residence. The proposed location of the manufactured home would be on his existing farmstead. The original house was moved off, and he built a new residence to the east of the farmstead in 1999. The farmstead has existing utilities along with other farm buildings consisting of a garage, barn, grain bins, and a Quonset. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on June 20 and 27, 2023, and the Volga Tribune and the Arlington Sun on June 22 and 29, 2023. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, Bangor Township Chairman and Clerk, and the Brookings County Highway Department Superintendent. Here's the application. Here's the manufactured home being moved. The location that they will move it. In the report, sir.
If the applicant is here, would you please come forward and have a seat and clearly state your name?
Jeff Christensen.
Thank you. Is there any questions from members of the board at this time? Do you have anything to add to Bob's report? For example? Okay. Hang tight for a second. I'll now move to the public hearing portion of this. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing, hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing, hearing none, I'll now close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board at this time? Seeing and hearing none, I'll move to the findings of facts. You can go sit back down if you want.
The right one. Okay, once again, we'll read the high points. Application being made by Jeff Christensen, South 1/2 Southwest Quarter in Section 29, Township 110 North, Range 52 West, Bangor Township, located at 45530 213th Street, Arlington, South Dakota 57212. Meeting date was held on 10 July 2023. Manufactured home must have been constructed after June 15th, 1976. I can tell from the photographs that it was. Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds that this one's a little, this is a conditional use permit, so this one we're going to read the complete thing because we haven't read one yet. So an application for a conditional use permit having been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as the Board of Adjustment, a copy of the application being attached hereto. Such application being made, and I read that part already, after due notice, we know the meeting was today. Brookings County, number one, Brookings County Board of Adjustment hereby finds that it is empowered to grant such a conditional use under the following sections of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. Article 11, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District Conditional Use Permit number 16, and further finds that the granting of the conditional use permit would not adversely affect the public interest. Number two, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds and certifies that the following specific rules govern conditional use requested have been complied with, and that is manufactured/mobile home must have been constructed after June 15th, 1976. The reason for that is prior to June 15th, 1976, they had aluminum wiring, and the modern day ones have copper wiring, just for your information. Number three, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds that satisfactory provisions and arrangements have been made concerning the following where applicable. Entrance and exit. The requirements will use the existing driveway off 213th Street, Brookings County Road number 10. B, off-street parking and loading areas were required, none applicable. Utilities, refuge, and service areas, none applicable. Screening and buffering, none applicable. Signs, none applicable. Required yards and open spaces, none applicable. G, general compatibility with adjacent properties and other properties in the district. Requirements, if any, a comprehensive plan has been met for the agricultural district. H, roads providing access to the property are adequate to meet the transportation needs of the proposed conditional use. 213th Street is also known as Brookings County Gravel Road number 10 and meets the transportation requirements of the conditional use. I, any required notifications to law enforcement or fire department, none applicable. Any safety inspections required? Inspections as required for a building permit. Number four, Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this conditional use permit upon the following additional special conditions or safeguards. Manufactured/mobile home to be removed within 90 days after the vacation of the qualified occupant or occupants. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least a majority of its full membership, hereby grants the petitioner a conditional use for the above real property for the use as follows, if they approve it. Conditional use number 16, one manufactured or mobile home as a secondary residence on an established farmstead to be used for the occupancy of a farm employee or by parents, grandparents, children, or brothers and sisters of the occupant of the land, provided that said home is removed within 90 days of the vacation therefrom by the qualified occupant or occupants. Ordinance 2006-02, March 28, 2006. This conditional use permit is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all requirements and conditions in 3 and 4 above, and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. The Brookings County zoning director will or will not be authorized to issue a building permit for this conditional use. It must be used within 3 years from the date granted. And today's date is 10 July 2023. It will be filed on July 11th, 2023. In the statement, Chairperson.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as the findings of facts are followed, so I concur with the findings of facts.
Thank you, Mr. Troyan. Bob, would you call the vote?
Vanderwall, Kyle.
Aye.
Truian.
Aye.
Jensen.
Yes.
Erickson. Vanderwall, Kelly.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Gatsky.
Aye.
Diedrich.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, agenda item 2023-0011, Hemp Hill LLC by Blair Ransom has made an application 2023-CU-011 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for conditional use, Article 11, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District, conditional use permit number 17, commercial radio and TV towers. The property is described as the southwest 1/4, excluding Lot H1 thereof in Section 10, Township 111 North, Range 49W, Afton Township. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Troyan,
Second.
second by Paulson. Bob, would you read the staff report?
Blair Ransom, representing Hemp Hill LLC on behalf of Verizon Wireless, has applied for conditional use number 17 to construct a new 260-foot tall cell phone tower to be located in the southwest quarter except H1 of Section 10 in Afton Township. The tower location is 2.5 miles west of White, South Dakota on South Dakota Highway 30. The site plan shows they will use an existing field driveway with an access easement for servicing the tower. 60 feet by 60 feet fenced-in area will contain an equipment building, tower structure, and a generator. The land is currently being farmed. The request meets the Brookings County Comprehensive Plan general criteria for other specific uses in rural development areas for telecommunications facilities. Letters were sent to the applicant, landowner, adjoining landowners, Afton Township Chairman and Clerk, and the South Dakota Department of Transportation. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on June 20 and 27, 2023, and the White Tri-City Star on June 22 and 29, 2023. Here is the application. And let me figure out the location. Somewhere on this map. Don't see the X. You see the X?
Be in the yellow one.
Right in here. And here's a better one. This is a topographical map. So looking at the green shelter belt there, it'd be right in this area, it looks like. And here's a better view of it. This shows where the guidelines will be and the fencing. Here's your fancy engineering diagram. Site survey, leased area. They had to publish their own public notice, apparently. And here's a copy of that they provided to us. Here's photographs that Richard took of the area. In the report.
Thank you. If the applicant's here, would you have a seat and clearly state your name into the mic?
Blair Ransom on behalf of Hemp Hill and Verizon.
Is there any questions from members of the board at this time? Just hang out for a second if you would. Since there are no questions there, I'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing none. Is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing none, I'll now close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Bob, would you read the findings of facts? Go back to
Certainly.
your seat.
Since we read one of these before, we're just going to read the high points. Conditional use permit 2017CU005, application being made by Kurt Walter of Bureau Consulting Incorporated on behalf of Verizon Wireless regarding the northwest quarter of Section 2, Township 111 North, Range 51 West. Is that the wrong one? Okay. Oh, hold on. Let me get the right one. Which one? Okay. Right here? No, which one? Right there? Sorry about that. We're actually not amateurs. believe it or not. Now let's try it. 2023 CU 010. Application being made by Hempel LLC by Blair Ransom. Is that better? Okay. Southwest quarter excluding lot H1 thereof, section 10, Township 111 North, Range 49 West, Afton Township. Having, after due notice, the public hearing today was 10 July 2023. The article is Article 11, Section 1101A, Agricultural District, Conditional Use Permit number 17. And number 2, we certify the following. We're going to list them down. A, entrance to the property, you use existing driveway that is off of South Dakota Highway 30. Off-street parking, none allowed or none applicable. Utilities, refuge and service area, dumpster service for garbage disposal during the construction phase of the tower, which means you just, only as it's being constructed, you'll be required to have a dumpster service to haul any refuge away from the site. Once everything's up and the fencing and all that, then that goes away. Screening, non-applicable. Signs, cell tower must be marked with the sign and lighting requirements per Federal Communications Commission, FCC, and Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, current requirements. And those we don't get involved with. You, whatever the feds require you to put on, you're allowed to put on. Required yards, and it's not like you're going to hide a cell phone tower. I mean, we pretty much know it's there. F, required yards and other open spaces, none applicable. G, general compatibility. The comprehensive plan will be met for the agricultural district. H, roads, South Dakota Highway 30 is a state blacktop highway and meets the transportation requirement of the conditional use. Any required notifications to law enforcement or fire department, none applicable. Any safety inspections as required for the building permit, and you have to talk to when you get your building permit, they'll explain to you what those are. I guess it depends on what kind of building you got going on. Brookings County Board of Adjustment further conditions upon the following requirements. The 260-foot cell tower meets or exceeds our 500-foot setbacks from public road right away. The adjoining property setback to the east is less than 500 feet as it is owned by the same property owner in which the tower will be located on. There are no residences, businesses, or public buildings located near the cell tower for setback requirements. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least a majority vote of its full membership, will be granting the following conditional use permit if they vote in the affirmative. Conditional use number 17, commercial radio and TV tower to construct a 260-foot guy wire tower with an accessory building for a wireless communications provider. It's conditioned on everything we read above. Must be done within 3 years or this permit becomes invalid. It will be dated today, 10 July 2023. It'll be filed officially on July 11th, 2023. End of the report, sir.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as the findings of the facts are followed. So I concur with the findings of the facts.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. Bob, would you call roll?
Trillian,
Aye.
Jensen,
Yes.
Erickson, Vanderwall Kelly,
Aye.
Polson,
Aye.
Gatsky,
Aye.
Diedrich,
Aye.
Vanderwall Kyle,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, make sure I got the right one.
Moving on, we will now reconvene as the Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission. Agenda item 16, amendment of Article 4, Chapter 4.02. This is a public hearing on the proposed changes to the Brookings County zoning ordinance 2015-03, which readopted the 1997 revised zoning ordinance as amended. The proposed change being to amend Article 4, Chapter 4.02, Commercial/Industrial Districts, Section 4.02.01, Permitted Use, adopted by Ordinance 2018-03. A copy of an ordinance change is available at the Brookings County Finance Office, Brookings County Zoning Office, or online at brookingscounty.sd.gov. Is there a motion? Motion by Diedrich,
Second.
second by Paulson. Bob, would you read the staff report? We're doing good.
Okay. The proposed update to the zoning ordinance, chapter 4.02, CI, commercial/industrial districts, section 4.02.01, permitted uses, adopted by ordinance 2018-03 is to: number one, remove permitted uses in the agricultural district except residential dwellings are listed below. Single-family residences, including manufactured, mobile, and modular homes. Change in section 4.02.02, conditional uses. Change number 8, change livestock sales to slaughterhouses. Next, add in section 4.02.02, conditional uses. Number 22, classes A, B, and C, concentrated animal feeding operations in accordance with Chapter 5.22, concentrated animal feeding operation, in parentheses, CAFO chapter, when accessory to another listed conditional use. Chapter 4.02, CI, commercial/industrial districts, purpose. CI district is intended for commercial and industrial uses, which due to their size and nature require highway access to a county or state or federal road. Under section 4.02.01, under permitted uses, we are going to remove permitted uses in the A agricultural area except residential dwellings are listed below. Number one, agricultural activities and farm-related buildings, including Class D, but excluding Classes A, B, and C animal operations. We are going to remove number 2, which is single-family residences, including manufactured, mobile, and modular homes. Number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we are going to leave alone. Section 4.02.02, conditional uses. We are going to change, we are not going to touch number 1 through 7. Number 8, where it says livestock sales, we're going to remove the word livestock sales and put slaughterhouses, replace that with slaughterhouses. We are not going to touch number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Under number 22, we are going to add classes A, B, and C, concentrated animal feeding operations in accordance with Chapter 5.22, concentrated animal feeding operations, parentheses, CAFO chapter, when necessary to another listed conditional use. 4.0204, area regulations. I do not believe we're doing any changes to that. Access, lot area, storage, parking, no changes. And that is all the changes that we're requesting today. We might want to have Luke. How do I unmute Luke? Oh, Mr. Mueller, if you'd like to speak on this, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. I was going to request that. I want to make a couple of points. First, I'll just talk about how we got to a couple of those changes. When the first time we talked about this, the main point was to remove the ability to have a house in the commercial industrial district, which was included inadvertently. I think it was pretty universally understood. After meeting with the Ag District Subcommittee, we had a little discussion about why not just say what we mean in certain uses here in the commercial district. One of the things that came up was the idea about how CAFOs may be accessory to certain uses like slaughterhouses and sale barns, but should probably have their own permit. That's where that came in. That's why we changed the ability to have slaughterhouses into there to make that clear. And so those were a couple of changes. So that's how that came to be, where there are a couple of changes from what we had discussed a few months ago. The one thing I do want to point out, though, is what I see on the website does appear that the original draft, where all that was on there was just the removal of residences, was on the site. You're at the Planning Commission. You have the ability to recommend something different than a draft. It's my recommendation that in your motion, either one of you create a substitute motion to approve the amendment as read by staff, or to just flat out amend it as read by staff. The difference is the substitute amendment, or the substitute motion, you could just vote on and be done. The amendment would require you to vote on the amendment and then the main motion. That's about it. Thanks, that's all I have.
Thanks, Luke.
So I just want to make sure that I'm hearing this correctly. We want to make an amendment to the motion that what we are wanting to approve in this amendment is that the changes are as read, not as what has been published on the website. Luke, is that correct?
Yeah, that would be the simplest way to do it. That's going to require 2 votes, whereas if you just did a substitute motion, that would just be 1 vote. It would just replace the main motion already.
So does that mean we need to cancel the main motion, or I guess I'll make the
My
motion to amend the
recommendation-
current motion that the revisions are stated as read at the meeting.
I'll second that.
There's been moved and second to amend the motion so that it goes with what was read at the meeting. All in favor? Oh, we have to discuss the amendment. Point of order on me. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now we have to make another motion?
No, all you have to
Okay.
do now is vote on the motion that's in front of you.
Okay,
I so moved to.
we just got to vote.
You ready?
Bob, would you call roll?
Jensen,
Yes.
Erickson. Vanderwall Kelly,
Aye.
Paulson. Gatsky,
Aye.
Dietrich. Vanderwall Kyle. Truian.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next step would be, I presume, to take it to the county commission.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, moving on to agenda item 17, department reports.
Yes, we are in drought. I don't know if you noticed that or not. The sporadic that if you got corn above your head, you're doing pretty good, because countywide we're still in moderate drought, and it's not looking any better. Down south, it looks like they're getting rain, but it's rare up here, and I don't know what to tell you on that one. They are recommending that if you drive on township roads and gravel roads, that you watch out for farm equipment. Obviously, that I'm speaking to the choir here on this one. And, that's all I got. I really don't have much on this particular one. County Commission, every time I talk to them, their hard work, your hard work, and they appreciate what you guys do for us. And they say, keep up the good work. End of my statement.
Luke, have anything?
Luke, do you have anything else, sir?
Yeah, I was gonna add or ask a couple of points, or add a couple of points here. One, I'm gonna take this for about a 2-minute training seminar, and you could just leave this as food for thought, okay? One of the things I've been trying to have boards think about when they're talking about variances, especially on small lot development, like you see at the Lake Park District, is to consider how much of the lot is buildable versus unbuildable due to setbacks or maybe floodplain. And I just want to give you an example. This is not meant to rehash or rediscuss anything that's been out there, but you had 2 requests in the Lake Park District tonight for variance. One of them, by my estimation, just doing the math quickly, I'm in a dark room in my office so I can do the math here, but came up with 85% of the one individual's lot was covered by setbacks, whereas he had 15% of his lot he could actually build on due to the setbacks, and you granted that variance. The other one was tabled, so it's not really testimony or anything, it's just a fact that would go into your staff report. But the other one, by doing the math, and I could be wrong, but by my math, 64.7% of the lot was covered, or 64% of the lot was covered by setbacks, leaving 36% of the lot available for buildability or to be built on. The reason I bring that up is because that's something that can be used as a basis for hardship. You don't have to, but it's something you can. So when you're coming into a meeting, you can look at that and think, is this lot pretty much covered by setbacks? Is our ordinance causing the problem? And that's a consideration. I can tell you in the county that I serve as zoning officer, they do look at that, and oftentimes they figure anything upwards of 75% covered by setbacks or floodplain, they're pretty open to setbacks. Anything in that 60 to 75%, they'll consider it, but they're going to have to make some concessions. Just for what it's worth, you can do whatever you want. Like I said, it's about a 3-minute training session to think about. You can ask your staff to do that, or you can do the figuring yourself, however you want to do that. That's just for what it's worth. One more point on that, just for what it's worth, in communities that have a residential district, if you were in a residential district in, say, Brookings, Volga, well, I'll go with Volga and Aurora because I helped with their zoning ordinances, they won't allow you to build over more than 30% of a lot. So keep that in mind as well. You couldn't cover 30%. So those are just things I want you to think about from a very quick planning explanation.
This is Bob Hill. Don't we have to put that in the ordinance, though, on how much lot coverage?
No, you would. That's more of just a rule of thumb to keep in the back of the mind, is that you don't have to use that as a percentage, but when you're looking at a hardship, to think about, is it really a hardship if someone can only build over blank percentage of their lot? It's up to your county, you as a board, as to whether or not, and there are other things that go into variances too, don't get me wrong. But when you walk through the door, you can have a pretty good idea. But Bob is correct. It goes back to what's in your findings about, is this a general rule that we could just say blank percent and you get a variance? No, it's not that. So anyway, something to keep in mind. That's all. You don't have to do it. It's just one of the things that I'm seeing a little bit locally here.
Okay, thank you. And one thing I do need to tell the board, Mr. Chairman, the variance that we tabled tonight is probably a mistake on my part. It is true he applied for a variance for the front yard setback, but up at County Road number 2, the setbacks off of County Road 2 are so long, that typically the distance to the road itself don't require variance, because sometimes you got 100 feet right there.
Hmm.
So I've been out of this chair for so long that when that came up, you know, I requested a table based on the individual sitting on the chair there.
Yep.
Talking about the variance. So if there's a mistake, it's my fault, not anybody else's, but he requested a variance and we could not give him a variance on that. But maybe at the next staff report, I'll have Richard state that in the staff report, that although he applied for a variance for that 16 feet or whatever in the front, it's not needed. Just to make sure everything, in case, because not every variance is approved, and if the variance is disapproved, then they threaten to take us to court, and we need to have our ducks in line, quite honestly.
It's better to table it than to make a mistake.
So, just letting you know. If I ever make a mistake, I have no problem owing up to it. I don't think it was a mistake, because I don't know, if you'd turned it down, then it could have come. Those kind of things come back. A judge looks at those things and say, well, why didn't you do it? And we didn't do it. So, but we'll correct that for the next meeting. It won't cost the applicant any more money. We'll pay to have it published, and we'll publish it again, all legal, right? And go from there. And that's all I've got, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Luke.
Me too, thank you.
Is there any need for an executive session?
No, sir.
Nope. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Diedrich, second by Erickson, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, ladies.